Honda released the ATC 90, and I think it was actually 1969, and I've had some of these. They were actually called the US 90 for a few years, and then eventually grew into the ATC 90 all-terrain cycle. It was a small air-cooled engine with balloon-style tires, which now they remake. They lift these things. They do all sorts of stuff. You'll have to Google different aftermarket parts. Meyer fenders. I mean, they make things to restore these, like, to the point where they're better now than they were when they rolled off the assembly line. Really, the first ones had no suspension. They were a semi-automatic transmission, I believe, and they had low and high gear. Super lightweight and could go nearly anywhere. There was an explosion in popularity in the late 70s to 1980s. Manufacturers like Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, and Suzuki raced to release more powerful and specialized models. Now, personally, I've always been told to stay away from the older Kawasaki and Suzuki, but I do think they are cool to see. But if you're around a bunch of vintage bikes and shows, you will notice that most of it is indeed Honda. For me, where it all began was the performance models. The ATC 250R is specifically my favorite, and that's really where it all started. And the reason why you have sport quads today is because of the 1981 250R, but I'll get into that more videos later if I decide to upload. Now you'll also see a bunch of youth ATC 70s with like the 140 kits. I mean, the sky's the limits on these little things, and those things really, really rip too. I'm just really not educated on the smaller stuff, but I am learning, and I appreciate everybody's comments and suggestions when it comes to those too, very much. As I said earlier, most of the older Honda of these machines are Honda, and they actually held 70% of the market back in the day, selling hundreds of thousands per year. And if you ask me, I think they outlawed these because they were making too much money, and we had to wait for an American company to step in. Polaris. As they grew in popularity, injuries began to increase, as they probably have been with these side-by-sides. I don't know how they would get away with making the side-by-sides, but these cannot be any more dangerous than those. They released buyback programs, safety, and warning labels were like molded into the plastics, and it's just a whole rabbit hole. You can dive deep. They made Astro kits you could weld on to make them four-wheeled instead of three-wheeled, and eventually just promoted four-wheeler ATVs as a safer alternative in the years after. But if you come out to one of these Strike Fests, it'll be like it's 1987 again. You'll see a niche